most of the right-to-life leaders understand exactly what President Trump's trying to do. He is trying to reach the largest possible number of babies saved. He's trying to create the best possible environment in the current culture and in the current laws. And he's doing it in a way which is extraordinarily pro-life without alienating people with the kind of fear-mongering the Democrats have. I thought what he did, his statement, was exactly right. And I think people ought to read it carefully and think about it. We are a country that has to have this conversation.
Middle MAGA.
Donald Trump made his announcement on the unborn, and it was a good announcement. Let's follow what happened and the fallout from it through a few people, Jack Posobiec and Tim Pool. Let's start with Jack. Jack was doing cleanup work. He's like a cleanup man. When Trump made the "I have no time for retribution, I have no time for revenge," Jack Posobiec, who I'm not against, he was astroturfing that it was a good thing. He's trying to clean up whenever Trump has something that could divide the right. And that's what you need. If you love your country, you got to do cleanup. Here's what it looks like. Jack Posobiec says, if you want to be in a position to fight figuratively communists and fight figuratively for abortion or against abortion, you need to be in a position of power. It's just that simple. You can't just sit back and complain about the left controlling every institution. You have to actually take over at some point. Very reasonable take. But that take is from a strategic standpoint. So it sounds like Jack is pro-life. I'm not going to speak for him, but that's what it comes across. I believe he is, but that's what it comes across as. And he's like, well, we're just going to do this for a political strategy. I actually think that's right. I mean, that's a accurate take, but that's not my take. I don't agree with Trump because of the political strategy. Tim Pool got involved as well. Let's take a look at Tim Pool's post. Tim Pool agreed with Michael Tracy. Michael Tracy said, leave the legality of what we consider baby unliving to the states. It was never a morally or logically coherent position. And I don't know if I fully disagree with Tim here, but let me flesh this out. Tim said agreed. And I didn't really disagree with Tim. Notice I said underneath Tim's post, there's nothing wrong with Trump's position. If we are going to be in a peaceful union, there has to be compromise. Unliving the unborn is not clearly laid out in the Constitution. And if you think that it's in the Constitution, you are doing some mental twisting and pretzeling, Dominique Dawes, and it's not in there. The Constitution doesn't use the word human. It uses person. And when you could use the 14th Amendment. When the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 or something like that, they didn't even know the process of conception. It was like early science at that point. So the word person in the Constitution, there's no place in it where it means a zygote, an embryo, a fetus. I mean, it's just not there. So I don't even know what the take is on that. The rights in the Constitution are for people, a person. That means someone born outside of the body. I think that's clear. I don't know what the take is otherwise. They didn't break it down to that level. And Tim replied, so friend of the show, Tim Pool, quote tweeted and said, whether a person has human rights shall be determined by the states. It is a weird position to take, in my opinion. And I don't actually disagree with Tim there. It is a weird position to take, but that's why I said it's a compromise. That's why I said here's the part that Tim and many other people aren't getting. And it's just text, so I'm not saying he's just, it's hard to explain on Twitter. What the reason why I said there has to be a compromise is, Tim, you're right. It's a weird position to take, and I think Tim would agree. I heard Tim talk about it. That means that we would have to separate. We can't. If the 50 states can't agree to compromise on this by sending it down to the states, it is weird. I agree. Then we can't be a union. So if you want the position that we stay as a union but we can't compromise, that's weird. But let's go on. There's more discussion here. Aaron McIntyre, who is great, came from the political aspect on this again. Look at this tweet, strong tweet. Aaron McIntyre says, conservatives are like heroin addicts. The minute they get a little bit of power, they immediately want to spend it on the first issue that comes to mind. He's talking about the unborn. The left understands that power is a currency, and the first thing you should buy with it is more power. Yeah, I think Andrew Breitbart would be proud of this tweet. As Curtis Yarvin pointed out on my show, if you want to win, you don't care about issues, you care about power. Once you have power, you can address all the issues you want. Listen to these bars right here. I got to watch that episode. He said, did the left run on open borders and transforming kids? No. Do you have open borders and transformed kids? Yes. Why? Because the left secured power first and advanced its agenda afterward. Bars. Old school, a little bit of, it was only 3 posts, but that was a Twitter thread. You don't see too many of those anymore. Here's the last 2 comments I'm going to end this on just to wrap it up. Somebody replied to me and said, almost everyone on the left of center refuses to admit that an unborn child is anything more than a parasite. And I'm going to stop right there. And I'm not on the left on this position. And if I'm on the left on the position, I'll let you know. Universal health care. You could say I'm on the left. That's a socialist take. Yeah, I agree with that. Universal basic income. Yep, I absolutely agree with that. I'm not going to flesh those out. There's a lot of nuance there, but those are leftist positions. My position on the unborn is not from the left. Yes, the unborn is a parasite by definition. My definition of a parasite is a being that is inside another being and uses nutrients from their host. So once a baby is born, it's no longer a parasite. It has rights, even if the umbilical cord is still attached. But you can't force the birth from the mother. That's way out of line. I said God gave women the responsibility of child rearing, not me. Tell me where my lie is. Our role in society is to create a culture in which a mother would never want to unlive the unborn, and then also to choose a mother, a partner that it should be a wife that wouldn't want to unlive the unborn. But ultimately, the decision is on the mother. I didn't make the rules. That's a position of honoring God's plan. Any other take is a use of force to override God's trust in women. Maybe there are leftists, and we know that, who are pro-unliving the unborn for evil reasons, and they aren't God-fearing, and they are coming with a bad place. Yeah, there are, but that's not my take. I'm not coming from the left on my leaving it up to the state stance. I'm not even a pro-choicer. I don't have the decision. Any woman that I care about, I would wish that they did not have the procedure to unlive the unborn. But it's up to them. And then for us to stay in a union is a whole different topic. You know, I'm fine with not staying in a union, but if we are going to stay in a union, you got to compromise. And look how beautiful this thing is. The process to amend the Constitution is difficult on purpose, and I am not for federal legislation on either side of this. The federal government should not be legislating health, moral decisions without a constitution. If Congress does a constitutional amendment, I'm fine with it either way. But the process to amend the Constitution is difficult on purpose. So I told somebody you could amend the Constitution, and then this person who doesn't know basic civics says the process is so difficult. Yeah, it's difficult by design. And really, is it that difficult? It's not really that difficult. The process to amend the Constitution is the threshold that defines compromise. Pretty brilliant, isn't it? You have 50 people in a room, 50 states. It only takes 34 of them to bring up it's a convention of states. And what that does is bring up the possibility of an amendment outside of Congress. Congress is involved in the process, but it's really up to the states. And 38, you got 50 people in a room. It takes 38 to agree on it. If you want to go out for pizza or lunch, hey, we got 50 people in the room. What do you guys want to eat? If 38 of you say pizza, we're going to get pizza. What's wrong with that? And Congress can do it anyway on their own also. If you can't get that simple level of agreement on a medical and personal decision, it cannot be federally regulated and must be left up to the states. This is basic civics. Somebody tell me where I'm wrong.
Middle MAGA.